I recommend the audiobook The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. It's anime AF, laser swords and power armor. The books are long but worth the journey. I was being a little facetious when I said earlier that if I'm engaging with fantasy media, I want it to be, or non-fiction, or fiction media, I want it to be like anime or whatever. For the most part, when I read, I like, honestly, I just think I like Lovecraftian shit. I like Lovecraft, and I enjoyed The King in Yellow, and I've been trying to read House of Leaves for ages. I guess I like the feeling it gives you, you know, that like unease. I like that. Yeah, I've read Shadow over Innsmouth. Have you read King in Yellow? Do you listen to me? Should we Way of Kings anyway? It's awesome. Okay, okay. Would you play a Cthulhu-based game? That's a very, very broad question. There's also the issue where, like, for the most part, it's pretty difficult to incorporate Lovecraftian shit in video games because video games have to distill everything down to code and visuals. You know, you can do it, but it's often like sanity meter, or you see like a blurry figure moving towards you. You know, there's like, I've never played Call of Cthulhu, not the tabletop game. It's a lot about control, which doesn't fit with cosmic horror. Yeah. Does anyone else also feel like it would be a lot more interesting if games with a Lovecraftian influence were a little bit more subtle and a little bit less over the top? Sorry, that was a stupid thing to say. Everyone's going to agree with what I just said. Let me narrow that down a little bit more, okay? Rather than it being about, like, you know, flesh monsters or some, like, call from the deep that cultists are listening to or whatever, I feel like an undercurrent of unease that makes you feel... This is one of the things that I liked about The King in Yellow, at least the first miniature story in the anthology, which is that there's basically nothing explicitly supernatural in it, and throughout the entire story, it's ambiguous whether or not the main character is genuinely in the thrall of the King in Yellow, or if he's just like regular crazy, like regular normal crazy. And they basically don't give any info to that. I feel like I just like a narrative branching dating simulator where you are the only person in a romantic circle who is not touched by the being, and the rest of them are all odd in very subtle ways, but are genuinely charming and seem to be operating with a degree of autonomy. I feel like you could go really far with that. Not super over the top shit or whatever, like, you know, the cute girl with brown hair is like, oh yeah, let's go down to the fishery. Let's go down to the wharf. I want to show you something amazing. Her eyes glimmer with fanaticism. Nothing like that. I mean, like, very, very slight, just like this tinge of unease, and you know what you're getting going into it. But I think the real narrative hook, or maybe like the tension, would be maybe you can actually get a good life with these people, if that makes any sense. Like maybe they're a little bit taken, but it's possible to work it out and maybe leave with them and escape, and it would be fine, you know? I think you could do that. I've played World of Horror, yeah. I've played dozens of hours into it. I think you could do something there. Like, they're not totally beyond hope. Yeah, exactly. Like a tint of unease. Maybe something, maybe you approach it a little bit from like an Uzumaki vibe, where you are aware of what's happening to the town, and you are trying to live your life in spite of it because there's not really much that you can do about it, but you're still aware and you try to be careful, and you feel like some people might be taken, but not so much. And it's done in that context. I guess what I'm basically saying is that I feel like a lot of the tension in Lovecraftian horror is taken away the first time you see something obviously supernatural. Because you, the reader, know it's a supernatural premise, but if you're trying to project yourself into the mind of the protagonist, because, like, from my perspective, right, because I've read Shadow over Innsmouth or whatever, and from my perspective, it's like, the moment I see a guy with a disturbingly Ichthian face, I am killing myself or him or running or something. Like, the nanosecond I see something like that, I'm skedoodling out of there and I'm done. But, you know, if I'd heard rumors about the town of Innsmouth and they were just rumors, and I went there and maybe things felt a teeny bit off, but you read Lovecraft and it's like, dude, run. It's like I'm reading a novelization of a horror movie made in the 1980s, where the, you know, sexed up college frat kids are at the summer house and they don't leave even though 16 spooky things have happened to them already, you know? So what you're saying is you want to play Pathologic? Well, I mean, Pathologic's like fucking amazing. So yeah, I would. Yes, play. If more media would be made with those vibes in mind, I think that'd be amazing. Though Pathologic is not subtle. You meet the tragedians pretty much immediately. There's lots of supernatural stuff you immediately encounter. It's just the extent of it and the nature of it isn't really clear. Well, whatever. Anyway.